A lot of people actually come to you feeling lonely, and because I get, just throughout the day, there's some people who come and they feel alone. And so like, what do you do? What is your suggestion for people who are in that state?
I guess my first thing is, if you're lonely, realize you're not alone. There's so many people who are dealing with loneliness, and people ask me sometimes, they say, Father, you don't have like a wife and kids to return to, don't you get lonely? I say, I mean, half the married people who come to me are lonely. It's not just a matter of being surrounded by people, it's a matter of being with people and connecting with those people. So first thing is, once you feel lonely, you feel like you're the only one. You see all these people around and you think, oh, they've got these human connections that I don't. No, you never know what's going on in their hearts. You're not the only one who yearns for this deep human connection and doesn't quite have it. But then the next advice after calm down, you're not the only one, is be the one to have the courage to reach out. Because you have no idea if these other lonely people are just waiting for someone to say, hey, let's go take a hike, let's go see a movie, let's go do something together. And then when the conversation, and it inevitably does, just stays on the surface level of like, oh, so did you watch that latest episode? Or, hey, did you see the game? Have the courage to go deeper and say, hey, how have you been? Because sometimes you're feeling lonely, but you don't realize that so many other people around you are as well, and they're just waiting for someone to have the courage to dive deeper and form that human connection of saying, how are you? Like, yeah, we've talked about all these other things, but you, what's going on? How's your family? So those would be some of them. And if you don't have anybody like that, like you're listening and you're saying like, okay, cool, but like find me at least one living, breathing human being who will be with me. Find a club. Find something that you're interested in and kind of put yourself out there. Too often we think, oh, well, I have my connections on the computer. I mean, that's fine to a point, and you can make a connection there, but also there are so many great things in any healthy community that you can be a part of, whether it be a church or a recreational activity, and those can be springboards to friendship, but you got to put in the work of letting it go deeper than just, how was the game?
Yeah. I love that. And maybe I'm just emotionally weak, but I like what you said, that like you never know what people are feeling. There are a lot of times that like I have a lot of friends. I have people around me all the time. But I mean, even still, there are some times where I'm just like, I really wish someone would like text me and say like, hey, let's go for a hike, or like let's have an office, TV show marathon type of thing. And it makes me think that like someone like me that actually has a lot of friends and feels lonely, that there has to be so many people out there who, again, we're just waiting for that text to say, let's hang out. So I love that. I think that's very important, that I think we all should reach out more to people and not be afraid of getting like, I don't know, maybe rejected.
And be persistent, because like there have been times where I desperately wanted to talk to somebody, just missed their call, and then forgot to call them back, and then 3 days later realized, oh no, I didn't call them, and then they called back. And we had a great conversation. What made that great conversation was the fact that they didn't immediately get offended or think, oh, you hate my guts. No, I'm a forgetful. I have the memory of a gerbil. So, like, be persistent. I mean, pick up on social cues. If someone just doesn't want to talk, they might just not want to talk. But to have the courage to initiate, and then to also be a little bit persistent in making sure that that human connection can happen.
I love that. And I think that's so true. We were just, me and one of my producers, we had contacted and this is nothing to do with friends, but it's the same concept. We contacted this organization, and they didn't respond back to us. And like weeks went by, and he followed up with them, and she was so excited. She's like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you guys called me back. I thought this was the coolest thing. And I like the whole time was like, what did I do wrong? Like they didn't want, but she was so excited. So I think that is such a good statement. Well, we have a lot of parents that watch our show that are in the audience. What advice do you have to their children about friendships and how to develop those meaningful ones, especially in this time of social media?
Yeah, I'd say first of all, model it to them. Like, it's so great for a kid to see their parents have friends. And often I hear people say like, oh, I married my best friend. It's like, well, that's cool, but you should also have other friends. Like, no, you married the person who's now your spouse. You should have another best friend as well. To really try to work on developing those relationships yourself. And I think that's especially true for men, because a lot of men just don't know how to be friends. And for a son to see his father have meaningful friendships where he can say to his buddy, hey, I love you. I'm in this with you, no matter what your struggle is. That just speaks volumes. And that's one of the best lessons that you'll ever give your child.